What if the reason your body feels heavy, puffy, or stuck isn't just physical, but a signal that something isn't moving the way it's meant to? Today's conversation is about the lymphatic system, but not just from a clinical perspective. We're looking at it through the lens of the nervous system, the breath, the fascia, and energy. Because the truth is, your body is designed to clear, release, and reset. But it only can do that when it feels safe enough to let go. This is a conversation about flow, what blocks it, what supports it, and how everything in the body is more connected than we realize. Come join us. Women's Wellness Authority is a podcast for women who want to come home to themselves, physically, emotionally, and energetically, while exploring grounded, root level approaches to healing. In each episode, we explore the many layers of wellness through thoughtful conversations with experts, healers, and practitioners, helping you better understand what your body is communicating. This podcast is about empowerment, offering practical tools and wisdom to help you thrive in all areas of your life. Let's rewrite the rules of wellness together, step into your power, reclaim your health, and discover what it means to truly thrive from the inside out. Welcome back to Women's Wellness Authority. I'm your host, Diana Ruskowski, and today we're going to dive into a topic that I've been exploring more deeply recently. And the more I learn, the more I realize how foundational it is to how we feel day to day. And honestly, I also think it's something that not very many people know about or even know it exists. And so what we're going to be talking about today is the lymphatic system. My guest, Megs Bugden, is someone that I've known for a really long time. We met in college and lived together our senior year. So some of my funniest and most memorable experiences from that time are with her. And what's really cool is that we both found our way into this more natural healing space where we're helping people really get to the root cause of what's going on in their bodies instead of just managing symptoms. So Megs is a Rhode Island-based therapeutic body worker, and her work focuses on bringing the body back into balance through a variety of modalities. So that includes polarity therapy, cranial sacral therapy, Thai body work, fascia work, cupping, and lymphatic drainage, which is what we'll talk about today. And what I love about her approach is that it's not just about one system. It's about how everything in the body works together. So today we're going to dig in and get into all of that. So welcome, Megs.
Thank you.
So maybe let's start super basic and talk about what the lymphatic system is.
So the easiest way I can break it down for people, and I love this analogy, is where they think of a garbage disposal, right? So that's basically what the lymphatic system is. It is our body's garbage disposal. So it's pushing everything to the drains, which is the lymph nodes themselves, and pushing it back into the bloodstream so that it can be filtered and the body gets rid of it. So that's basically what it is. And it's everywhere in the body. So we need proper lymph flow. We'll get into this at how to get lymph flow, but that's basically where to start. And when I'm describing it to people, that's the easiest way to describe it. It's the junk drawer of our body.
Interesting. So what I also think is helpful when you compare it to like your circulatory system, and the difference between your lymph system and your circulatory system is that the circulatory system has a pump, which is your heart, and that's pushing everything through. Does the lymphatic system have a pump?
It does not. So the pump of the circulatory system is constantly pushing the blood, right? But the lymphatic system doesn't have that. It's a one-way drainage system. So we have to manually help it.
Okay. And we'll talk about how to do that. When you talk about a drainage system, what is it draining?
Everything from waste, excess fluid. So like if you have gone through a really, I like to say summertime, because summertime we're all doing things that we're not used to doing in the other seasons. You know, we're getting together with people more, maybe drinking a little bit more or eating salty foods. So you get all this different excess of fluid that you don't normally have. You might start feeling puffy. So it helps get rid of all that stuff and bacteria because it's directly linked to the immune system as well.
And now the lymph nodes, you're saying, are sort of like the centers. Where are those located in your body? And we'll show a graphic so people
Yeah.
can see, but maybe for those who are driving and can't look at it, can you maybe describe, are lymph nodes literally like all over the body, like spots, or?
Yes. So there is lots of lymph nodes. But the main ones, I mean, and if you're getting a professional lymphatic drainage session with somebody, they'll hit upon different lymph nodes. But when we're doing it ourselves, there are main areas. So you've got the ones right behind the ears here. This drains into the subclav area. This is the subclavicular vein area. So we've got main ones in here, also known as your collarbone, right? So you've got here behind the ears, here. Most women know the ones under the armpits because we're aware of our lymph nodes there because of breast cancer. There's a huge one in the abdominal area and then in the thighs, right at we call it the inguinal area. So towards the groin.
I always like work these before I do any sort of lymphatic work. I always go behind my knees too. Are those nodes?
That's another good one. Yeah, the popliteal node right behind the knee. So when you're saying like getting the body ready for drainage, that's a perfect way to think about it because we kind of have to open the drains. It's like you wouldn't continue to take a shower if there was hair clogged in your drain, right? You have to get the hair out. So by opening the drain, then we're allowing the lymph flow through those drains. So yeah, opening them up and it's very gentle. And I think that's another misconception is like some people tell me, oh, I had this really almost uncomfortable lymphatic session where they were, pushing deeply, but the lymph is literally right under the skin. So very light touch is all that's really needed, but just the direction that we're doing it in. And like you said, stimulating the actual nodes to start is a really good practice. And it can just be like a light pushing or a pumping with your breath.
With your breath. And we're going to talk about like all the ways, but when I think about the lymphatic system, I'm like, I have to move in order for it to flow. And so for anyone that's like sits for really long periods of time, aka like sitting at a desk in your office, and you go to get up and you're stiff, that's because the fluid is not moving, right?
Correct.
Now, when people tend to be sick and they might feel like this feels swollen or tender, women might feel that this is tender or sore at certain periods of the month. What is that an indication of?
Usually it's stuck fluid, things that aren't being pushed through because we're not manually draining it ourselves, or we've just been, and we'll get into this too, like how it's connected to all the other systems, the nervous system. I see, especially with mamas, specifically females, but mothers, really high stress, going to work, taking care of the kids, just your nervous system, right? So it's all connected to that too. And that's when we start getting buildups
In those lymph nodes.
in those lymph nodes. Yeah. And most people, like when you go to the doctor, they usually feel it here, right? There is quite a few nodes under there. So it could be a matter of just carrying a lot of fluid in that area. Or like you said, if we're sitting, then those areas, like we're basically cutting them off. And because blood flow and lymph flow go together, it's like you're cutting your blood flow off, then you're cutting your lymph flow off.
I am prone to inflammation here. So that is why I've been doing so much more research on things that I can do. I know all the things I can do, and then there's the things that I actually do. But I have noticed a difference in how things feel when I'm actually doing that. So if I'm doing lymphatic work or, wanting to start doing the pumps, what if I don't do clear the lymphs or clear the lymph nodes? What would happen if I start to dry brush or get on a shake plate or do my breathing and not do this? What would happen?
People tell me, oh, I do this. And well, if that works for you, then do it. There's not going to be a wrong way. There is a right way to drain the lymph properly. But if you're doing the other things, the moving, the vibration plate, the breath work, you are helping. So you don't necessarily have to stimulate them. It just helps. It helps keep that free flow. And some people tell me when we clear them and then we start the actual session and things are flowing, they feel like almost tingling sensations because they can actually feel the lymph moving, which is so wild to me.
I have experienced that, and it feels like what the rush of a river looks like.
Yeah.
Inside your body, because when something is stagnant and not moving and then it gets opened up and it's being pushed, full disclosure, when I get lymphatic drainage, because of the issues I've had with scans for my breasts, I specifically am targeting this area. Even the texture of my skin will change and my breast tissue will change when I do this targeted therapy, which is wild to me. And that's because I have like dense and cystic breasts and everything is moving after those appointments.
Yeah. And I think that's what it comes down to is every body is different. So what works for you is going to be different. Like you might need a more concentrated area here, right? We have multiple tools now we use too. Like the hands always are great. And we'll probably get into this too, the kinds of tools that we can use to help stimulate areas in a different way, like dry brushing.
So we talked a little bit about how the lymphatic system doesn't operate just on its own, but it's interconnected with a lot of systems in the body. Can you kind of touch upon that?
As I was saying, it works with the circulatory system. So blood flow, lymph flow, because we've got lymphatic vessels right next to our bloodstream, right? So they're working together, but then we're also coming into contact with the immune system, the digestive system. I do a lot of abdominal work with women specifically. I have done it with men, but I find women have more digestive issues, usually because of
Well, that makes sense.
hormones.
Yeah. Stress.
Just for another conversation. But yeah, digestive, huge lymph in the digestive points, but we're working all the organs. Specifically, the spleen is directly connected to the lymphatic system because it's a blood filter, which sits right under your left rib cage. And then you've got respiratory system. And then recently, I'm learning more about how it's related to the endocrine system because of the thymus. They're both attached to that hormone producer. So how, yeah, we're
What is
directly
the
affecting
nose
the
part?
hormones, the lymphatic system and the endocrine system, like the thymus. So like people with thyroid issues, how lymph is affecting that as well, which is so crazy.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean,
Yes.
every guest I have on here, the summation, like big picture summary is that it's not just one system by itself. The body is amazing and so intertwined. So if this thing is not working, it's going to affect X, Y, and Z too. And I think that's like my biggest takeaway from this past year of talking with so many practitioners and experts in this wellness space is just how interconnected. Can we talk about nervous system, stress, and the impact that that has on the lymphatic system?
Yes. So we know about our nervous system, and we've got more research now than ever, and there's still more coming out. We talk about the vagus nerve, which in craniosacral therapy, we directly are in contact with the vagus nerve. At one point, they wanted to, scientists were like, we don't know what this is. It's not necessary. And now everybody knows about the vagus nerve. So
And
we
where is that?
need, so the vagus nerve it's actually known as the wandering nerve. So it literally wanders through, and that's why craniosacral is interesting because they used to think that the work went just to the sacrum, but now because of the vagus nerve, we know that it goes all the way to the feet because the vagus nerve is the wandering nerve, literally from head to feet. So if you look up a diagram of that, you'll be like, whoa, like, and it's the 10th cranial nerve, but that directly affects the nervous system. So when we're talking about lymphatic flow and nervous system, if we're stuck in fight or flight, we're usually shallow breathing all day. And I know so many, again, women, just because we're always thinking of the multitasking, right? The got to go to work, got to pick the kids up, got to make dinner, got to clean the house. So we're always just, breathing like that. So breath is a huge part of the nervous system
As I
and
take a deep.
getting that deep breath, right? See, you got to take the deep breaths. And so that's a good place to start is how relevant the nervous system is to the lymphatic system and vice versa.
Can you talk a little bit about the fascia work that you do and how that's related? And can you also maybe just define what is fascia for those that maybe don't know?
Fascia is interesting because even with fascia, there's a lot of research coming out about fascia too now. And I think this is why a lot of massage therapists are pivoting there's still a lot of deep tissue out there, but the ways in which we're contacting that deep tissue massage. So instead of just getting in there right away, it's almost like you have to warm up the tissues because of the fascial system. The fascial system is
Oh, it's a system. Okay.
yeah, so it's a whole system too, because it's just similar to the lymphatic system. It is literally everywhere in the body, fascia is. We were talking about before sitting, so stagnation. Any sort of stagnation is going to start making all your fascia just so tight. It is a connective tissue. That's basically what it is. So when your massage therapist or practitioner is giving you massage, like they're getting through to that fascial layer to try to even it out and smooth it out so that we can then help the muscles, help the bones, help everything else to regulate itself, basically. So getting through that fascia layer can be tough if we sit a lot and we're not active, if we're not stretching. My biggest advice to people is foam rolling. That's how you help yourself to break through the fascia layer. So any foam rolling is going to be great, or like a yin or restorative yoga class. Those are really good for fascia release.
Specifically yin yoga.
Yin yoga.
Why is that? They just do a lot of deep stretching?
Instead of like the heated vinyasa or even just a regular vinyasa flow, you're sitting in poses for 8 to 10 minutes usually. So you might only do 6 to 8 poses in a class, but because you're sitting in those positions, it's helping release that fascial layer slowly. And that's what we're looking for. It's like a slow release instead of just like I was saying before, like digging in there and give me the deep
Yeah.
tissue massage. It's like actually hurting the tissues rather than helping them. So
Yeah.
we want to help
Yeah,
them.
you don't wanna, like, leave bruised. That's not the goal
Exactly.
here.
It has a lot to do with blood flow as well, because when we're limiting the movement in our bodies, that affects blood flow, which again is correlated with lymph flow.
So it's almost like a domino effect. If my fascia is like, and then my lymph as a result is being choked, there's no movement, and then you have the circulatory, you just basically have a traffic jam in your body.
Yes. Yeah. And even things like I have a dear friend, she mainly focuses on a lot of fascia release, but deep from like scar tissue. It's amazing what just scar tissue hangs on to, from anything from like C-section scarring to just like an accident you might have had. Like it's amazing. The buildup in that area of tissue is pretty amazing.
Mm.
I've seen some of her work and I'm just like blown away.
And the buildup is what?
The connective tissue. So the connective tissue, because it's like just that tightness. And if you haven't, I mean, after your accident, say you got stitched up or whatever has happened that you needed to get stitches and you've got the scarring, if you're not taking care of that from the beginning, because in a lot of places like hospitals, doctors, they're not going to tell you, oh, like wound care, yep, that's you're good to go now. Like we actually have to keep working that area and
Mhm.
releasing it because it does just get so tight. So I always say like a vitamin E oil and literally manually rubbing that area is going to help it heal over time so you don't have that buildup, because then that can actually cause issues in other places.
Yes. Yes. I actually did a training and we specifically worked on wounds for some form of energy work, but it was also like we had to feel someone's scar, which when you feel it, you can feel tension and tightness. And then we had to slowly work with it intentionally with our hands and then also with energy. And it was amazing how, from when we started to when we finished, how much softer that area felt. It was crazy. Because again, you're releasing what's built up energetically and then also physically, right?
Yes, which we can go deeper into the energetic side of you.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we should a little bit because that's like my wheelhouse, right? I think my perspective and my learnings and teachings have taught me that emotions can get trapped in the body. Trauma can get trapped in the body. So, for instance, like you get in a car accident, you got to get stitches. There's trauma stored in that little area. And if left, you don't heal it, you can then end up getting like pains up here. Like it manifests itself in various other ways within your body. The emotions trapped that don't get processed can also manifest into physical symptoms, which can then eventually could manifest into disease. But please add to that. That
That's
was like my
spot on.
teaching.
That's all spot on. And that's what my work does too. We're looking at what's deeper. Like surface level is one thing, but there's definitely other stuff going on. And sometimes it takes 2, 3, 6 sessions before people are ready to go there. I'm never going to make someone, go to a place that they're not ready to go to. But I think after each session, it's like people realize it's not about the relief physically. It's like, okay. And you start introducing some of the energetic work to them, and they are blown away and how different they feel. So,
Mhm.
and there is some relief from physical work as well. Don't get me wrong. Like, I love the physical work that I do too, but the energetic stuff is, and people will tell you this, they attest to it, that it lasts longer because they're getting to the root of the problem.
Yeah, and I think that is important that it's not like a one and done situation. Healing is a journey. And then when you're trying to address things that maybe happened a long time ago, it is going to take a while to peel back those layers. And so when you're doing any of your therapy or if I'm doing any of my work, there could be like a range of reactions. Some people might, while they're getting a massage, I'm sure you've experienced this, actually get really emotional. And that's actually your body releasing what it needs to. And so any type of feeling you have, you probably don't want to be in a tremendous amount of pain. That would probably be a red flag to
Correct.
me. But if you're physically like feeling like you have to cry or tightness in your stomach when you're working on, I think that's the body's way of trying to process and get it out, right? I don't know if I'm explaining that exactly correctly, but
Yeah, and I think there's like this thought about energy work, like, and even body work in general. It's like, oh, I'm the practitioner, you're the client. You have to be quiet the whole time. I keep an open dialogue with my clients almost the whole time until like maybe I'm doing some craniosacral and they're like off on another planet. And I'll let them do that because they need the rest, you know? But when I'm doing like deep abdominal work, like you're keeping an open conversation because I want to make sure that they feel comfortable speaking up for themselves if something is uncomfortable. And it's amazing. And one of my teachers brought this up a couple years ago. It's like once we're given permission, it's easier. And I'm sure we've all experienced this in many different scenarios, you know, like I can't speak up for myself. But when you're given permission, and I always want to keep that open because, like you said, a lot starts coming up emotionally. And that's why I like keeping the dialogue because I want people to say, I'm not ready to go there yet. And that's okay.
for listeners, if you're ever in a situation where you are getting a massage or any sort of care and you feel uncomfortable, like this is too intense, you should absolutely speak up. You shouldn't sit there and be like, this is weird. I don't like this, and wait till the very end. A practitioner should be checking in on you throughout. Is it okay that I'm doing this? How are you doing? Like reading your body language, reading your reactions, giving you time to pause and just saying, is it okay to continue? Are you ready? Those are things that should happen. And if they don't, you should vocalize and be comfortable with that.
Yes.
Okay, we went on a little bit of an energy tangent, but that's okay because it's so important. Can we then talk about now like practical lymphatic care? What is tangible ways that people can start supporting their lymphatic system today?
So, one of my first things I ask people is when you're waking up in the morning, are you drinking coffee right away? And a lot of people are. So,
Yes.
the
Yeah, no, I
easiest way
don't
to
drink
start,
coffee, but
it's the easiest way to
I
start.
shake. I can't. I just it's we don't wanna be around me. I just have a lot of energy. I'm like Jesse Spano in Saved by the Bell. For all the millennials, you'll know what that means. So coffee and me don't mix, but yes, a majority of people do that.
Get your coffee. I love that idea, but drink a big glass of water first. And if you want to go a step further, put a little bit of apple cider vinegar or lemon in it. Really help jumpstart the flow of your body. Let those digestive juices warm up, you know, and let your body warm up instead of hitting it straight with caffeine because caffeine's going to go straight to the nervous system and then your whole day is shot basically.
Which is why I'm
Yes.
like Jesse
So
Spano. What does the apple cider vinegar do?
apple cider vinegar is really good for the digestive system just to help kickstart it in the morning.
Okay.
Yeah, you
Oh,
can go that
interesting.
some people will put apple cider vinegar, lemon, cayenne, but I literally just do apple cider vinegar and it's only got, you know, a tablespoon in a glass of water.
Can you shoot it back this straight, or is that like not a good idea? You wanna like soften it with the water?
Yeah, I think it just like milds it out with the water so you just feel like you're drinking a glass of water, you know?
Yeah.
That's a good place to start for the lymphatic system. And then movement, breath. We can get into different ways of how to do that, like movement. And people say, oh, I don't have time to move. I've got a 5 minute quick machine for you. You always got to find time. And I love habit stacking. Moms love habit stacking or women, whatever, you know, whoever is out there listening. Like habit stacking is the best because if you could do two things at the same time, yay. So,
So give me
you
an
know,
example of what you mean by that.
habit stacking would be like, I have a lot of clients that use the vibration plate now, but they'll use the vibration plate while they're folding laundry.
I read or catch up on a TV show when I'm on my vibration plate, so yeah, I guess I'm
See,
task stacking.
you brush
The
your
reading is a
teeth.
little difficult because 'cause I'm like I tried to journal yesterday while I did it, that didn't, or I meditate, or you could do breathing. I didn't even think of doing intentional breathing.
Yeah, which is kind of, I mean, you're vibrating a bit, but that's okay.
Yeah.
And I think like the meditation thing too, does it like people get so stuck like, I can't meditate. You can do a moving meditation. I love going outside, even if it's a quick 5 to 10 minute walking break in your day. That's better than nothing at all.
I know this is kind of like a dumb question, but when you say breathing, we're talking about intentional deep breathing, right? And it could be 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
Yeah. So my favorite is either box breathing or inhaling slowly for a few counts, exhaling a deeper, longer count. So you could do like
Okay.
4 seconds inhaling, 8 seconds exhaling. And you can do that while walking. You could do it in the car and just making sure you're getting, like you said, those full breaths, because this is something else I work with people on is respiratory stuff. And so many of us are stuck up here because, and again, going back to how we grew up in adolescence, females, we were taught to suck in, especially millennials. We're just like, got to be skinny all the time. This is how I'm breathing. So we are taught to breathe the opposite way that we're supposed to. So we're breathing in and sucking in, but the breathing in is supposed to be out. So the diaphragm
Mm.
should be being pushed out. And I say, take it all the way down to your pelvic floor area almost. Just big deep breaths all the way down to the belly and then letting it out.
Okay. And what's box breathing? I haven't heard of that.
Box breathing is so a count of 4 in, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4 at the bottom.
Okay.
So it's
So like you're making a box.
like you're making, and that's what you can visualize as a box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Do one box. Do two boxes. Stack three boxes. And then what about dry brushing is a big thing I've heard. Gua shying.
Yes. Gua shying, all great tools. At the end of the day, people are going to keep selling you stuff because marketing, capitalism, that's where we live, right? And I love it. I love the tools. I'm not going to shame any tools because I use some of them myself, but 9 times out of 10, I say, "Do you have a dry brush?" And people say, "Yes, it's in the closet," and that's where it lives. So,
100%. Mine's hanging on the wall. I've used it 4 times.
and it's great if you have time, use it. I say use it before you get in the shower. The one thing you want to keep in mind about any sort of lymphatic brushing is to make sure you're moving towards the heart. So you don't want to be pushing out, you want to be pushing in. So I'll use like the dry brush and just come in through these points on both sides, and then I'll do legs from the feet up to the groin. You want to be pushing up again towards the heart. The belly, you can do circles. And again, you can do the dry brush, but sometimes it's a little rough, the dry brush. So the hands are free.
Yeah.
We love our
Yes.
hands.
They're attached to your body. And they're
They're
amazing
attached.
tool, right?
Yeah. So you could even,
You
I
don't need to
love,
be fancy and have
you
tools.
don't,
Really, you
that's
have the
it.
tools you need.
And I use my hands mainly through professional like lymphatic drainage sessions with clients. And we use the V a lot. So if you can do a V like this, like a Spock sort of thing. And you could even
Okay.
start just where your ears are, like here, and doing a gentle like this
Uh-huh.
down. That's all stimulating your lymphatic system.
Yeah.
So most of us have like a night routine where we put moisturizer on. If you have gua sha though, and you want to do gua sha, do the gua sha too. But if you just have hands, that's fine. You can even just kind of brush through here down to the clavicles and then in this way. If you do
So
5 minutes, you're doing it.
yeah. But before any of this, always do what we said at the beginning. Pump, pump,
Um,
like pump,
yeah.
stomach. So you do that, and that literally can take a minute, not even. And then you do the dry brushing. I like to visualize like channels or roads, and like I'm not going to go this way because this is a dead end. And just imagine like pushing, like sweeping garbage at the end of the cul-de-sac. You don't want that. You want to bring it to the dump. You know, it's like the dump is
Right.
here. Your system can take it and drive away and get it out of your body, which is like what your body is designed to do, right?
Back through the bloodstream. Yes. And
Yeah.
just to touch real quick on it, I'm a huge proponent for cupping for this reason, because cupping actually really helps so many immune system, but also lymphatic system, because it is helping regenerate the blood flow in a specific area. And it's great. Cupping is great. And now they're making kits that you can actually use at home on yourself. I think you were telling me, Diana, like you had it done and then your practitioner said, you can do this yourself. Like, and you can. They've got great
Yeah.
sets. My computer's sitting on one right now. You can get them on Amazon. There's also facial
Like
cupping that you can
silicone
do.
ones, right?
Yes, silicone ones are great. Plastic ones are great too. They just are gonna be a little bit deeper work for the cupping, but the silicone ones are great. Yeah, I love cupping. It's awesome.
Do you do dry cupping or wet cupping?
I do a bit of both. It depends what area I'm working. So if I'm trying to like move the lymph here, I might put like a little bit of jojoba oil or coconut oil, whatever you have. That's a nice like carrier oil, as they call them. And then if you want to put lavender in there too and get nice, so it like helps you at night, you could do that, just some
Yeah.
oil, and then use the little silicone cups to get the lymphatic system flowing.
I did my old chiropractor in Connecticut was a chiropractor and acupuncturist, Dr. Wu. For anyone in Connecticut listening, she's magic. And she would do sometimes dry, but sometimes wet. So she'd put the cup on, leave it there for 2 minutes, take it off, puncture my skin with needles, put the cup back on, and like sludge would come out. Like
Bloodletting.
this the stuff that was like trapped in probably the fascia, the lymph would come out. And it was absolutely disgusting, but absolutely really, really freaking cool. And I always left feeling so much lighter because the stuff that was, by the way, I wasn't doing any of the things we were talking about right now, like moving things, clearing things, because I just didn't really know. But I'd go and I'd pay her, and I knew that I felt like so much lighter and better. Now I know what she was actually removing, right?
Yeah, and just to add to that, for the practitioner, it's great because when we're dry cupping and we're leaving those on there longer term, it gives us an idea of where the stagnation is, because those
Yeah.
areas are going to be really dark. I've seen almost black, like dark purple areas, as opposed to an area that's not stagnant. It's just going to be your skin color or maybe a little pink when you take the cup off. So for us, it's great because we can actually, it gives us the knowledge like this is where your body is holding onto
Yeah.
something.
Yes, I actually did like that because I could see then too, when you're talking about having multiple sessions, when I'd go back multiple times, where there was tons of stagnation over time, the dark circles, when she would do it again, were a lot lighter. And to me, that's a signal that like things are moving the way that they need to.
Quick side story. I had one client from Russia who was adopted here in the States, and she vividly I mean, she was young when she came here, but she remembers as a kid, her grandparents would cup them when they were getting sick.
Oh, so cool.
It's so cool.
Yeah. So I mean, all of these modalities have been around for so long.
Yes.
And I think it's finally more people are aware of the impact that these can have. Really, getting to that the cause of everything.
And I think too, like there's ways that we can, like we've given today, we can help ourselves. I can definitely give more. I have a few resources for people to look up to, specifically one that's really good for home. She's great. She's a professional. She's done lymph drainage for years. But I think if you're going to find a professional lymph session, just make sure it's somebody that's been properly trained in it, because there's a lot of misrepresentation out there at the moment. Also, like myofascial release is another good one. MFRT, there's a lot of practitioners doing that really helps the lymphatic system too.
And that's working with that fascia that we talked about.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So when I'm looking for specific practitioners, like what are things that I should be looking for? Making sure that they're certified, and what is the certification like letters to make sure? Do you know?
It's incorporated into their training for massage therapists. So they're licensed to do manual lymph drainage, or it'll say MLD for the acronym. And then body workers like myself have done coursework enough to know. And you can always ask questions, because like, I don't know if it's trending right now, but there's like this deeper lymphatic work going on. And I don't know how I feel about it, because it's not really necessary to go so deep for the lymphatic system. Because like I was saying, it's right under the skin.
Yeah, and I've also been told if you put too much pressure, you can damage the lymphatic system. So, in the conference that I went to, there were women that were there that had damage to their breast tissue and their lymph system because of mammograms and the squishing. So, because the lymphatic system is like really, really tiny veins and lanes essentially like underneath your skin, to your point, you don't need to be like digging to really get it moving. It is just a small movement. And specifically for me, when I went and got thermogram, there was tons of inflammation. And like, that's why I focused on the lymphatic work, because she said a lot of things aren't moving the way that they should, and things can get stagnant there. And so that's where I focused a lot of my energy to move things along. And so I can't imagine how fragile those systems are. And then we're subjected to doing that to make sure that we're still healthy, and it is sacrificing the tissue, the delicate tissue.
Yeah. And we're not taught this stuff, like I didn't know it
Yeah.
20 years ago that I was supposed to move my lymph. Who tells
Yeah.
you that?
No. And I'll say like a family member had like cancer of the lymphatic system and never was even taught any of this to me, which is like mind blowing. So you go through that really tough time and, did the radiation, the chemotherapy and so forth. But then it wasn't like, okay, let's talk about preventative measures. Like, let's make sure we're doing this. That's
Hmm.
like mind boggling to me, but that's a whole nother conversation.
I'll just add too, if you're totally exhausted at the end of the day and you don't want to do anything, legs up the wall. That's another great one. Or legs elevated over the heart, as they say, for
And
lymph
gravity will
drainage.
do the work, right?
Correct.
Okay, so this might be just a good summation of everything we talked about. So, for women who are feeling sort of heavy, stuck, inflamed, physically or emotionally, where would you tell them to begin? What is like the biggest takeaway?
Recognize your body's signs. Trust your gut intuition. And that's what clients come to me with. They're like, I've been feeling stuck and puffy and just heavy. So take those signs, especially I always say, like coming out of one season into another, you might notice shifts because every season is different for our bodies. So
And
we
we're
have to
talking
clear.
seasonal. We're not talking season like I'm going into menopause season. You're talking about fall, winter, spring.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
But there's the body seasons too. You're not wrong. Like what you needed 20 years ago in college is not what we're going to need now, right? So, and it's like becoming a full-time job to take care of ourselves once we get into our 40s. I feel like we're doing it because we have the knowledge to do it now. We have all these skills and techniques. So I say just trust your gut intuition and start looking up where you're feeling stuck the most and start with that area. Like, is it something at work that's causing this? Is it something in your personal life? Is it a relationship? Is it a partnership or friendship? I've talked to lots of people who have detoxed friendships over the last couple years. Like, even that can cause pain in our body. So
Mhm.
recognizing the signs and then going from there and starting small. Don't feel like, because I think that's the thing we focus on too, is like all the information that's out there and then it's too much and we don't do anything. Right. So,
Yeah.
like I said, wake up in the morning and drink a big glass of water. Start with something small and then maybe 5 minutes of breathing, of
Mhm.
intentional breathing in your day. Start
Yep.
small. And in addition to starting small, there's a few resources I love to give out. My favorite is a book, but she's also on Instagram. It's called Lymph Love Club. Leah, I never say her last name right. I think it's Levitan, Levitan. She's a huge resource for lymphatic drainage, and she's been in the lymphatic field for many years, but she makes it very accessible and easy for anybody to do the exercises and the movements. So I definitely highly recommend her. And my other one is the facial cupping expert. Her name's Sakina Depache. She's, I think, based in France, I'm pretty sure, but she's an acupuncturist, a massage therapist, and a lymphatic specialist. And she's fabulous. So she does a lot of mini cupping, like we were saying with like the gliding to move the cups, but you can also do like areas through here as well with her little cups, but also just like gives you really good information on lymphatic drainage.
Awesome. So I'll put that in the resources too so people can jump in and
Okay.
follow and have the correct spelling. But awesome. Well, thank you so much for all the insight and information that you shared today. It was so great. So here's my takeaway. Pay attention to your lymphatic system. Open those pathways, move your body, breathe, be the pump that your body actually needs because we don't want junk drawers piling up. We don't want all that backup, that trash. We want things clear. We want them moving. We want organization. And when your body has the space to clear things out, you'll notice that it's not just physical. Things feel lighter, clearer, and easier to process in your life too. So that's the emotional side that we talked about. And sometimes understanding what's happening is really the first shift towards healing. So thank you for being part of Women's Wellness Authority. If you found value here, follow the show, leave a review. It helps more women find this space. And until next time, stay curious, stay empowered, but most of all, stay well. Bye, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Women's Wellness Authority. If today's conversation inspired you, shifted your perspective, or sparked something within you, I'd be so grateful if you'd subscribe, leave a review, or share this episode with someone who might need it the most. Have a story of your own or something you'd like to share? I'd love to hear from you. You can connect with me on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook at Women's Wellness Authority. Please note the content shared on this podcast is for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always consult with a qualified healthcare provider regarding your health and wellness decisions. Until next time, stay curious, stay empowered, and most of all, stay well. Thanks, everyone.